I bet you were nervous. I bet you were nervous. You were like, I don't know if this guy's going to show up or not. I don't know if we're going to have a show this morning or not. I don't know if Leslie had the baby or not. I don't know if they had any sleep or not. I bet you was nervous this morning. I bet you anything you was nervous this morning. But no, we are here. Episode 776. Hashtag Rise and Grind straight from the studio. I got some news for you. I'll let you know what's going on. Get up in here. Let's do this. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? See, there's no excuse for you not pushing yourself to the next level. In order for you to create a new you must have a new mindset. When teams come together, we can create things that are greater than the sum of all of their parts.
Good morning and welcome to Hashtag Rise and Grind. I am your host, Glenn Lundy. I am a husband to one, a father to seven, and the creator of what is going to be the #1 most watched morning show in the world. It is 5:30 a.m. and I hope that you are ready to rise and grind.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? Oh my goodness, today is, what day of the week is it? Tuesday. That's right, today is Tuesday, December 29th, 2020. And what's crazy is today is the very first and the very last time it'll ever be Tuesday, December 29th, 2020. So I want to make sure we make the absolute most, and I do mean the absolute most of this absolutely incredible day. Just like I'm making the most of this absolutely incredible hoodie. Dude, I'm just telling you, the new hoodies that we've got here at Hashtag Rise and Grind are straight fire. If you don't have a hoodie yet, if you got one of the old hoodies, maybe you don't have one of the new hoodies, you're like, I don't know. I'm just letting you know, they're fire. They're so comfortable. I'm in my sweatpants right now that are rocking and rolling. The new sweatpants are absolutely amazing. So I'm just letting you know, they're stinking phenomenal. All right, just saying. Not sure why that is important this morning, but just thought I'd let you know because that's how I'm feeling. Maybe I'm a little squirrely. Listen, yesterday on Hashtag Rise and Grind, we talked about the first 100 days of 2020. Right? We reflected it and we looked back at the first 100 days of 2020 so that we could figure out what lessons were in there that we could learn, right? Super important that we learn from our experiences. Otherwise, we just end up repeating them. So yesterday we talked about the first 100 days, and today we're going to dive into the second, basically quarter, or the second 100 days of 2020, right? And we're going to look back and we're going to reflect on what we can learn from that particular time, that particular season that we all shared and went through together. That's the cool part. Is nobody was like, hey, you know what? I went through COVID-19 and you didn't, right? Nobody could say that. This is one of those things where we're in this together, so we can all learn from it together. We've experienced it together. We can learn from it together. What's up, Amber Uskadagi? Uskadagi. Is that what that is? I think that's right. Who's got a guy? She told me who it was. Anyway, sorry about that. Got distracted. Listen, I feel like we're kind of in the second quarter at my house as well. So yesterday morning at 9:15, my wife's water broke. Right? Here she is, old pregnant, getting ready to pop. Her water breaks yesterday morning, 9:15. And so we take a picture. I'm like, honey, let's take a picture. Here we go. We're going to do this, right? And so then, the family starts to gather around because we're doing things a little bit different than we have in the past. Leslie is having this baby at home. That way family can be there. She doesn't want, she just wants it to be a comfortable situation. So water breaks yesterday. And I mean water breaks, like water breaks. Water breaks. Ladies, you understand it. Men that have had babies, and I mean the water breaks. Okay, so the water breaks. Call up the family. Family comes over. All right. My wife is having contractions all day long. Contractions. They're mild though, like nothing crazy, right? Like she's not in pain. She's not bending over in pain or anything like that, but all day long. They're like 4 to 5 minutes apart all day long. So we kind of clear the schedules. We got family coming in, her mom comes over and is taking care of the babies and so on and so forth. Her sister's there taking care of the babies, and her best friend comes down from Columbus, Ohio, right? And she's over there like washing the walls and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, right? It was crazy. And so my wife is going out, like taking walks. Like, it's just beautiful, right? Like, it's really beautiful. I'm so thankful that my wife chose to do things this way. If we would have done it the traditional way, then she would have gone to the hospital as soon as her water broke, and we would have spent yesterday from 9:15 in the morning in the hospital. Instead, my wife was laying in bed with her friend drinking a chocolate milkshake with a smile on her face. With that said, the contractions never really set in. They just kind of were mild all day, right? All day, every 3 minutes. They never really set in. And so today, this morning, we're at like Q2. We're in like quarter two. Like, we're still, I don't think we're near the end of the game yet. I just talked to my wife before I came here to do the show. She gave me permission to come do the show. She said she was okay there at the house for a little bit. Like, the contractions haven't fully set in. So today's Q2, we're going to keep rolling. We're going to keep rolling, and if you could throw out some prayers, if you're a prayerful person, maybe throw out some likes or some hearts or some of the symbols that show that you care. Maybe you could drop one of those on us this morning. We would really, really, really appreciate your vibes and your energy, because this baby is coming. But it's going to take its time, it seems. Seems like it's just going to take its time. So this baby is coming unless, of course, maybe it's like in the Never-Ending Story, right? Anybody ever watch the Never-Ending Story? Maybe in the Never-Ending Story, like he has to give the princess or the queen or one or the other. He has to like give her a name. And see, we haven't named this baby yet. We don't know if it's a boy or it's a girl. We haven't even really talked about any names. Like, we're just kind of like, oh, the baby's here. Like, what I noticed yesterday, we don't have a car seat for the baby. I had to run to Walmart and get all kinds of stuff to have the baby at the house. We're just kind of like rolling right along. Like, 2020 was like the fastest, slowest, craziest year ever, right? And so maybe the baby's not coming because, we ain't named it yet. I don't know. Maybe it's just like Never-Ending Story.
Why don't you do what you dream, Bastian? But I can't. I keep my feet on the ground. Call my name. Bastian. Please.
Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I'm just messing around. You could probably help with that, though. Feel free to drop some names if you want. Drop some boy names. Drop some girl names. If we use your name, we'll give you a high five, and you could say that you were a part of it. However you want to do that, right? But 2020, heck of a year. Quarter one, we learned a lot, right? In quarter one, we learned when people come together, it can be really amazing. It's so impactful what we can do, right? When we all come together as one. It's really incredible. We also saw that in Australia with the fires. We saw that over with Kobe Bryant when him and his daughter and family family friends were tragically killed in a helicopter accident. We saw that in the Super Bowl where Patrick Mahomes took over and won that sucker. And we saw it right there at the beginning of COVID, right? Right in the beginning of COVID as people just pulled together. So we saw these examples in quarter one of people coming together and the impact that can make. And so we asked ourselves yesterday the questions, right? Super important questions. What did we do great? what could we have done better, and what has to change in 2021? These are incredibly important questions that I want you to ask yourself individually, but we're doing this as a whole, as a group, as an organization, as a business, as all of that, right? What did we do great? What could we have done better, and what has to change in 2021? Those are the three questions that I want to ask. So yesterday we talked about how what we did great is we came together. What we could have done better is we could have been more sensitive to other people's feelings, in my opinion. And what we must do in 2021 is we must get laser focused, right? And I mean laser focused, blinders on, because there are a lot of distractions, things that we cannot control out there in the world. So we just need to focus on the things that we can control. That's my belief. I'm not sure what your belief is. How you doing, Tracy Harden? Glad you made it, right? But we're going to dive in. That's what I believe about the first 100 days. Now we're going to dive into the second 100 days of 2020 and extract what we can out of that. What can we learn? What can we do better? What did we do great? What has to change? We're going to ask those questions here today on hashtag Rise and Grind. Before we do, though, you know what we got to do. We got to dance, but for some reason, it won't let me get there. There we go. Boom. There we go. That's right. We do some dancing on this show. I don't care where you are out in the world. I don't care if you're out there running. I don't care if you're in your house tiptoeing. I don't care if you're in bed. I don't care if you're at the grocery store. I don't care where you are. I want you to get your body moving this morning. All right? Get your body moving. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Get that heart pumping. Get loose this morning. Let's go. It's going to be an incredible day. It's going to be a powerful day. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. So I need you to get in motion first thing this morning. It's part of the show where we dance. It's also the part of the show where I need you to say good morning to me, and I'm going to say good morning to you. Whether you're watching live or you're watching on replay, maybe you're watching at 8:30 Pacific time, maybe you're listening on the podcast, maybe you're watching on YouTube, wherever you're at. Drop a line, let me know you're there, hit the subscribe, hit the follow, all that good stuff, and let's connect. What's up, Judy Anderson? Great to see you this morning. How you doing, Amanda Sander? What's up, Joan Goebel? How you doing, Melinda Gayheimer? Joel Tomlinson is up in here. What's up, young Darius Johnson? Great to see you, man. You've got so much greatness in you. I'm excited to see you grow. What's up, Stu Young? How you doing, Brian Evelyn? Great to see you. Amber, who's got a guy? I think it's who's got a guy? What's up, Krista Bug? How you doing, Jeff Baker? What's up, Christy Wysocki, Don Sankey, Vicky Everett, Kristen Hawk Tibbs is up in here this morning. Kim Fair, West Storm is in the house. What's up, Melvin Rodriguez, Wendy Reeves? If you're new to the show, do me a huge favor. Make sure you also join our group, the hashtag Rise and Grind group right here on Facebook. You can go to riseandgrindgroup.com. It's the only place online where you're only going to find motivation, education, and inspiration. Nothing else. Make sure you join us there. What's up, Angela Venters Keith? Great to see you. How you doing, Andrea Ward Lamb? Great to see you as well. What's up, Mike Romano? How you doing, Shauna Carsale? Great to see you, Shauna. Rodney Rock Hatfield needs me to say hi to Zion. How you doing, Zion? I'm so glad you're with us this morning. Thank you so much for sharing this time and this space with me. It means everything to me. What's up, West Storm? How you doing, Lucinda Edlin? Great to see you this morning. Kevin Fadley. Tiffany Hart says she's dancing for Leslie. Baby time. That's what I'm talking about. What's up, Jennifer Jaskell in the house this morning? We've also got John Coltonborn, a.k.a. Whiskey John. How you doing, Heather Fox? She says she's been watching on YouTube. 4:30 a.m. is early. Yeah, it is. What's up, Lauren Scott? Great to see you as well. All kinds of new people up in here today on hashtag Rise and Grind. Love seeing you all. If you haven't done so already, hit that share button and let's dive into today's episode of hashtag Rise and Grind.
Christmas is over and now we're reflecting on this past year, getting ready for 2021. And I know that this year has been so crazy for so many people. So I wanted to take a few moments this week to acknowledge some good things that happened in 2020. I have a few facts that I found online, but I also wanted to start with the fact that there are so many of us who have connected on deeper levels, slowed down, gotten to just sit and be with ourselves, be with our family, really listen and tune in, maybe for the first time in a really long time. And although, again, not to take away from how difficult this year's been, but what a blessing that has been to remember what's important. Now, here are a few awesome things that happened in 2020 that we can look back and be grateful for. Here's a great story. A single foster dad adopts 5 siblings so they can all stay together. This comes from fox29.com. Robert Carter began fostering these 3 boys in December of 2019, but later learned that the brothers had 2 sisters as well who were in the foster system. He decided to take them all home, adopt them, and give them a forever home. This Iowa boy sells baseball bats from fallen trees to help storm victims. After a rare storm packing 100 miles per hour winds swept across the Midwest in August, this little young man named Tommy crafted more than 200 baseball bats, which he sold to raise money for victims of the storm. 7-year-old throws personal prom for his babysitter after hers was canceled. That's some swag, y'all. That is some swag. A 7-year-old in North Carolina showed his nanny how much she really meant to him by throwing her a private prom. He was reportedly inspired to hold this socially distant dance after the COVID-19 pandemic upended the young woman's original prom plans. This kind-hearted 5th grader doles out snacks, positive messages to 100,000 for Thanksgiving. 10-year-old Orion's kindness was a full display this year as he took it upon himself to collect and donate Thanksgiving snacks to thousands of families in his home state of Texas. I think stories like this bring so much hope and remind us that there is so much good to be grateful for, even in the midst of really difficult times. Tell us something that you are grateful for over this past year. We'd love to hear from it. Sending you hugs. See you soon.
Thank you for that, Heather Parody. That is my dear friend, Heather Parody, also my co-host. She's been up to some really crazy stuff. She's landed some big contracts. She's doing some things with her podcast. She's doing some things with her acting career. So Heather's got a lot of things going on. I love and appreciate all she has contributed to #RiseAndGrind this year. And so make sure you blow her up today and make sure that she knows how much you love her. Listen, so after Parasite became the first international film to win the Best Picture by telling the story, right? By telling the tale of wealth and disparity in South Korea. That is when COVID began to really kick in, right? Parasite, man, blew everybody away. It had never been done before. And then COVID kind of kicked in. And so as we headed into the second 100 days of 2020, that is when these shelves were really just bare, right? These stores weren't able to restock. People were just loading up on stuff. So much stuff. It was crazy, right? And this is about the same time as all of the different mandates were starting to really drop into place. And at the same time, the news was starting to give us some really shocking reports. Shocking reports like what had happened to George Floyd and the police officers and the spark of the Black Lives Matter movement here in 2020. Making words like "I can't breathe" a public staple. This is also around the time that Breonna Taylor was murdered in her home. So the news was showing us some really shocking and tragic things that were going on, right? It was dismal. It was dismal at that time. I remember feeling dismal. I remember feeling frustrated. I remember feeling like, what the heck is going on, right? It's a little bit crazy. I remember wanting to go into my closet and just like suck my thumb and crawl into the fetal position. Like, I remember feeling that, right? I remember sensing that. Now, also during this season, second 100 days of 2020, this is also when The Last Dance documentary came out and really showed us behind the scenes of the Chicago Bulls and a dynasty and what it takes to really be a champion, right? And then we also binge watched, for some reason, like Tiger King Captured the Globe. I don't know if it's because we were in the midst of like perfect timing, right? You're like, okay, well, everybody's at home. We're going to release this crazy, weird, strange oddity that you can't, like train wreck that you can't look away from, right? But Tiger King came out right around in this time as well. Also, Disney Plus, the new streaming service from Disney Plus, released Mulan. And this was really the first time that a full-length feature film had been completely, you know, released, like straight to the public, like straight at home, because our movie theaters were shut down and they couldn't release. And so there were other movies that decided to postpone, that pushed things back and so on and so forth. But Disney went ahead and rolled with Mulan and just rolled it out on the streaming side, which was totally new and innovative. It had never been done before, right? It was crazy. This is also the time when Zoom and other platforms similar to it became like a household thing, to where every person in the household and every person, you know, all around the world, whether you were young or whether you were old, whether you had used technology before, whether you didn't use technology before, like Zoom and platforms like it became just what we did every single day. It was like second nature during this season, right? And their stock went through the roof, by the way. If you had any Zoom stock, holy smokes, right? Their stock just jumped. And continues to kind of go up and down on the climb during this second 100 days. Our kids were home from school. Our sports all were getting canceled during this second 100 days. Their graduations and proms all across the U.S. and around the world, all of those went out the window. And it was kind of an incredibly chaotic time, to be real. And so we have to ask those questions. In the second 100 days, what did we do great? What could we have done better? And what has to change in 2021? And in my personal opinion, you might believe things a little bit different, but in my personal opinion, one of the things that we did great in that second 100 days of 2020 was we got really creative. We got really creative and we really started to use our imagination, from having social distancing parades to make sure to continue to celebrate people's birthdays, to having virtual graduations and proms and Zoom parties and things like that, people dancing and singing in the streets. Ultimately, we went virtual, and by going virtual, we still served each other. We still tapped into the emotional intelligence, right? The emotional necessity that we have as human beings to be connected. We got super creative. We started doing things we never thought or never imagined that we could do. And what's really crazy is in all that creativity, in using our imagination and allowing people to work from home and do different kind of things, like we solved a lot of issues. We solved some traffic issues that some people now miss, but we solved some traffic issues. We literally eradicated the threats to the ozone. Like the pollution cloud that was over Los Angeles has completely gone away over there in California, right? Like, it's crazy. People have been trying to solve that pollution issue for like 30 years over there in LA. They're like, well, here's the solution. Everybody just sit at home. Right? Crazy. So we got really creative. We started introducing like takeout across the board, where you could, eat your favorite foods at restaurants differently. We started selling cars online in my industry, which people have been avoiding forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, right? We did things we never knew we could do. I thought what we did great is we got really, really creative and really, really imaginative. And that's something I want us to continue doing in 2021. Now, the second question is, what could we have done better? And I personally believe what we could have done better is we maybe could have kept our mouths shut on some of the things we don't know anything about. Just being honest and just being real. This is where like deep layers of division reared their ugly heads, was in the second 100 days of 2020, right? From people talking about Wayfair and sex scandals to fake tests and false videos and government scandals and all of these different things. Waves of fake news and real news and questionable news and everything in between. Everyone all of a sudden was an expert, and that just fed the machine, the AI machine. The more you talked, the more you were an expert on particular areas, the more nonsense got thrown at you, and literally it created a monster. In the first 3 months, I felt like people were coming together or the first 100 days. In the second 100 days, it felt like people were just getting torn apart. So I believe what we could have done better is maybe kept our mouth shut on some of the things we don't know anything about. Playing armchair quarterback in the midst of a pandemic is probably not the best idea. Just saying. Sorry if it hurt your feelings. From your boy to you. What's up, Nancy Andino? Great to see you this morning. I'm just saying we probably should shut up about things we don't know. Let's take that lesson into 2021. Fair enough? All right, fair enough. And what has to change in 2021? We're asking these two questions. What did we do great? What could we have done better? And what has to change? And here's what I'm going to tell you has to change in 2021. You and I are going to have to be forever mindful of not only our morning routines, but all of the content that we are consuming every single moment of every single day. I'm going to use an illustration that I learned from my friend Danelle Delgado, and I love it. I want you to think of your mind as a champagne tower. Your mind is a champagne tower, and whatever you pour into the top, right? Your mind is the top glass, and whatever gets poured into here is ultimately going to trickle down through every single glass in the champagne tower. It's going to reach every single one. That's how champagne towers work. So in 2021, I need you to be so careful what you put in here every minute of every day. Because here's what happens. I want you to take a look at the champagne tower and imagine if we were to take some red dye and put it in that very top glass. What would happen? Well, ultimately that red dye would trickle down, it would flow down through the fountain, and it would permeate every single glass in the fountain. It would permeate every single bit of that. Fake news, negative news, government, politics, division, violence, all of those things are like red dye. The red dye that is going into your mind has no choice but to trickle into every single aspect of your life. It will affect your relationships. It will affect your career. It will affect your finances. It will affect everything. It has no choice. It has no choice. Now, knowing that, because you are going to get hit from all sides every single day, especially during this crazy season, knowing that, you must be ever vigilant, because there's only one way to get that red dye out. There's only one way. The only way for you to get red dye out is for you to continue to pour good, clean champagne in. That's the only way. The red dye is going to get in there. You can't avoid that this season. You cannot. However, what we can do is continue to pour fresh champagne into that top glass. Continue to pour it in there so that we can wash as much of that stuff out as humanly possible. That's what I believe needs to change in 2021 for me, for you, for America, and for the world, is instead of consuming the things that divide us, we need to make sure we are consuming the good, all of the good and positive and powerful and resourceful and educational, all of the good things that can wash out all the red. That's my belief. That's my opinion. And I'm sticking to it. Listen, we got a lot still going on. We got a long way to go. We're like in the second quarter, right? We're like in the second quarter. We haven't even reached halftime yet. We got a lot going on. We got a lot of growth, but there's a lot we can learn from this season. There's so many good things that can happen. There's so many ways that we can evolve and move forward through this season. So we just have to take the time to ask the questions. What did we do great? What could we have done better? And what has to change in 2021? God willing, I'll see you here tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. If that's his plan. I may have a baby at 5:20 tomorrow morning. And in that case, you're on your own. Those of you that are in my 800% club, don't think you got the day off today, because I plan on seeing you at 2 p.m. Eastern, all right? Unless I'm having a baby at 1:50. If that's the case, you're on your own. But most importantly, I need you to understand something, man. Y'all are all children of God, the God of the universe, right? And I love you so much as my brothers and as my sisters. I love you so much. I hope you go out there today and have an incredible, over-the-top, amazing, powerful day. And then come back here again tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. We're going to do this all over again on hashtag Rise and Grind. See ya!
Wake up, everybody in the land. Make them all get up and turn the volume up and dance. I'm up like a rooster about my future. Better get used to the routine. I ain't sleep, I'm living the dream. Feeling like I can do anything. Cause this is God's plan. I wake up, I thank the man. Brush my teeth and wash my hands. Then I get back to the grind. Got victory on my mind. Success and dollar signs. Now open all the blinds so they can't block my shine. Cause I am